Hi, welcome. Today we will see rook endgames, in particular the Kling and Horwitz Defense. So first we will see very quickly the Phillidor defense, because in my opinion this is a great complement to the Phillidor defense. So let's jump to our video, and the first position that I have to show you is the Phillidor defense. And here is black to play and white's pawn is advancing on this direction. So if you played with black, what would you do? Well, the answer is very easy. You will want to play rook to g6 because this will prevent the advancing of the king. So because of that, the king cannot go in front of the pawn, and after, for example, the advancing of this pawn, you will be able to give checks on the file. So this is an easy way of drawing your games. So very easy stuff. And even if he plays that, you can exchange the rook and then you will win the pawn. So what is the difference between the Kling and Horwitz defense and the Phillidor? Well, the difference is related to the rook. So in this case, we can play the rook to the sixth. But on the Kling and Horwitz defense, this isn't available because the rook is one square from the pawn. So, of course, if I played rook to f6, the pawn would take my rook and I would lose this position. So, because of that, this is very important to know this technique. I've already lost several games before I knew this technique, so this is very important. So, why don't you like me? Don't forget to subscribe, please. Almost 87% of the viewers isn't subscribed, is too much, and I want to help you to improve your level. To do this, you just need to click on the red button, and if you want, you can push notifications on. If you're enjoying the content, like, and any suggestions or even critics, you can always put on the comments below or talk directly with me by chess.com. My nickname is dark_attack. So let's continue with our video. So talking about this Kling and Horwitz defense. So this looks strange. It's complicated to defend this position because we aren't able to play a rook to f6. And in 1851, Joseph Kling created a book where he studied this position and several different positions too, openings, so a lot of materials. And the editor was Horwitz, and for this reason the name is Kling and Horwitz. So the first move, it's necessary, it's mandatory to be rook to f1. And the idea is quite simple, of course. If white advances a pawn, this is a Phillidor because the king isn't able to advance and go in front of the pawn. So the most difficult way of playing this is if the white's king play to e6. And of course, white is threatening to give checkmate in two moves, or even, I don't know, this kind of thing. And of course, if this happens, you have always this move, but you will lose because takes, king, and the key squares are being protected by the king. So this isn't easy. So because of that, you will always want to go to the short side. This is the long side, and this is the short side. So always go to the blue side. So after king to f8, this is very nice to see, very beautiful to see, because this position is completely equal. Because, for example, if rook plays to h8, the only available move is king to g7. And let's see, for example, if rook plays to a8, here it's very important to know that to draw this position, you will need to control the passed pawn of your opponent. So how will you do that? First, you need to create pressure with the rook. And then, for example, if the king goes to d6, the idea is simple. White wants to advance the pawn. Because of that, you need to play king to f7 to control the advancing of the pawn. Rook plays to a7. An idea. You can repeat, and you're going to play again king to e8. Again, if the pawn advances, you will draw this game because this will transform into a Phillidor. So you will have infinite checks. So the game is drawn. And let's see different approaches. For example, rook plays to b7 just to see what you do. So the idea of the white player is to lose a tempo. So if your opponent loses a tempo, you will want to lose a tempo too. How can you do that? Simple. Playing rook to e2. White isn't progressing and you don't need to do nothing. Of course, here you're happy to draw the game. You don't need to do nothing. Again, the advancing of the pawn will lead to a draw. And if the rook gives check, we go again with king to f7. So this is kind of easy. Again, different stuff. King to d5 to try to win this game. Here, if you want, you can give check, but why not playing rook to e1 again? It's playable. We don't need to do different stuff. White is here the player playing with white wants to win. You don't need to do different stuff. You don't need to create nothing different. So again, if rook gives check, you go back. And if the king plays here, again, you can play rook here. So it's kind of easy to draw this game. Let's continue a little bit. Rook here and king here. And again, if the king plays here, how can you draw this game? Please tell me. It's easy. Always go to the short side. This is the long side. This is the short side. You want to go to that direction. So king to f8. It's kind of easy. So don't forget this pattern. Again, rook check. We are repeating, but just to explain very well this, we will play king to g7. And again, if the rook loses a tempo, we lose a tempo too. If the king goes here, we repeat with king to f7. So this Kling and Horwitz, it's beautiful because this has been discovered in 1851. And the truth is that this is a study, but it's applied in several endgames. So, of course, this is a rook and pawn against rook endgame. And I think almost 9% of all the chess games finishes on rook endgames. So the understanding of this position will lead to a very big improvement in your endgames. So don't forget, very important points. You want to create always pressure on the pawn. Be careful with the threatening of the checkmates. And the first move needs to be always rook to the file. So you want the rook to be very far away from the king. And after king threatens checkmate, we need to go to the short side. Very important. So after that, we will need to create pressure to the pawn. Don't forget, critical move, king to f7. Very, very, very important. So this is a complement to the Phillidor. So if you don't know how to apply the Phillidor, please click here. And as you know, every day we put a new video about chess. Tomorrow we will be here at the same hour. Sorry for my voice and my nose. I'm with a very big flu, but I hope tomorrow to be better. So have a great night till tomorrow. Bye bye.